Seems like we're having a little bit of internet stuff here at the outset, but hopefully that'll sort itself out in a moment. Welcome to Recon Mock. I think the description said number 5, but I'm pretty sure that this is actually number 6. Yeah, okay, so we did one on... Yeah, okay. This is number 6. Welcome to Recon Mock number 6, everybody. It took me a second to, get the numbers right there. But look, doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Parachuted into the 6th pick here in Recon 6. It looks like right now 10 of the 12 teams in this mock are already in the room, so that's good news. I am Dan Vespris, at Dan Vespris, for the YouTube subs. You can see it on your screen. I'll make myself a little bit bigger for a moment. I recently showered, which is exciting for me. You can see the receding hairline, but also the clean face and attire. Big day for Dano. Personal hygiene stuff here. Really going to work today. I would, while we have a minute here before the draft starts, want to remind everybody, please, if you have a second, like and subscribe to the video, to the YouTube page. It is youtube.com/sportsethos for those that are listening after the fact on the Fantasy NBA Today podcast channels. If you are over on YouTube, you found this, and you want to hear more of the deep dive stuff that I like to do, please come and join me for that. Again, the name of the show is Fantasy NBA Today. I hope that each of these things can kind of feed the other right now. And I know I'm putting this out on both channels. This show will be on the podcast feed as well, but I think it does have a different feel when I'm with you here live on YouTube. So let me go ahead and make my face small again over on the YouTube side, and we'll get the live mock going here. It looks like the countdown is 10, 9, 8. Here we go. Interested to see if the board has shuffled at all. I'm not expecting a ton of large changes. Up at the top, we're starting to see Steph actually going in front of Shea more often. Let's see if that bears itself out in this one. So again, like and subscribe. Hit me up over on Twitter at Dan Vespris, DanBesbris. And already a shakeup at the top. Giannis goes 4 in this mock. That's earlier than I would have expected because you still have some names you can take here where you're not forced to punt anything. But Shea goes 5th. Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Steph Curry, all still on the board. The sort of consensus top 6 or 7. I'll just auto-draft Tatum because he typically goes in front of these other guys. I'd almost rather take somebody and just find out the order of these dudes, but we'll do it. Or maybe I'll take Steph and see what happens. All right, we'll do Steph just to see who goes first between Tatum and... Well, Tatum went right after Steph, so no surprise there. I got to assume Halliburton's coming off the board here at 8. We'll see. But, I'll look for that team that's in that 4 slot. So that would be pick 21 coming back. That's Solomon here in this mock draft. To be punting free throws. Something you want to mark down when you're in a draft. Who's doing what? If you're anywhere near that dude, you got a pretty good idea of who they're going to be targeting. So now we're at the 9 pick. 9, 10, 11, 12. This is a really hard part of drafts. Is it going to be Dame? Is it going to be Durant? It is Kevin Durant comes off at 9. Dame has been the ADP leader at that spot so far, but I got to think he continues to fall. The closer we get to opening day, if no trade has happened, then he'll just kind of slowly piddle down the board. Wouldn't you think? I would think. What's this Seth fella going to do at pick 10? He's winding it down here on us. About to get auto-picked. Well, he got auto-picked Dame, and then LaMelo got auto-picked. The 11th player is not here. That's the missing one. But now we're at the turn. I'm going to predict both Anthonys, Edwards and Davis. That's my prediction here. Let's see if that comes true. There goes Anthony Davis. Oh, and Devin Booker was the other half, not Edwards. So Anthony Davis, Devin Booker. Kyrie gets auto-drafted at 14. He's falling a little bit here in the early going, which is good if you like the boring dudes who put up sick fantasy lines all the time. And I do. I'm losing track of the tab that I'm working on here. I got too many tabs open today. I watched like 6 minutes of Ahsoka while eating lunch. I wish that I ate lunch more slowly. JJJ at 15, which honestly makes more sense than JJJ at like 9 or 10. He doesn't help you in enough categories to be a first rounder. He's not going to fall past the second round. Question is, if you had that pick at 15, would you go JJJ or would you take one of these other guys that might give you a few categories? But the nice thing about Jaren Jackson is that he really doesn't have a negative to his game. So it's easier to fix the categories you're weaker on after him because he doesn't have, you're not trying to wipe out a negative. Like if you took Dame, you're a negative in blocks, you're a negative in field goal percent, you're a negative blah, blah, blah. With JJJ, it's pretty much like fine across the board and then hyper elite in blocks. Anthony Edwards falls all the way to 16 in this mock. That's pretty surprising given where he's been going lately. James Harden at 17. People are not yet that afraid. Freddie VanVleet gets auto-picked at 18. I'm going to take Kawhi, and I'm just going to do this in basically all of our mocks because I know he's going to go later. And I'm more interested in where some of these more buzzy guys are going. So let's see who goes around it. So there goes Donovan Mitchell at 20. Bridges still on the board. That's the only guy right now that has fallen past his X rank. But Solomon took Giannis. So Solomon is looking at the board like, So he goes Domantas Sabonis. I guess that makes sense. You take a guy who's not great at foul shooting, shore up the rest of your big man stats. There goes Bridges at 22. And he should fall a little bit, by the way, just to plant a flag in something. I love Mikal Bridges, but seeing him go at like 16, you've wiped out all chances for him on a per-game side. Then you're just crossing your fingers and you're praying for that, what we call the 10th category on my daily podcast. 10th category being durability. Mikal Bridges is a world beater at that one. This is not me. This is a different person, also named Dan. Paul George went at 23. Kind of surprising there, especially if on the chance they pick up Harden. And then just the health stuff is rough. Dan is thinking this one through. Desmond Bane really high on the board, as is Lauri Markkanen. You guys know exactly what I'd be doing here. There goes Markkanen at 24. Can he keep up what he did last year? I don't think he's getting any better. Deep Thought. They call him Deep Thought Dan at the number 1 spot. It ain't me. This one is going very close to the pre-rank board. Slightly different order on some of the guys, but it seems like we just keep catching up. Jimmy Butler gets auto-picked at 25, or he probably would have... No, I'm sorry. That's not one of the auto-pick guys. So Jimmy Butler was the pick there at 25. He's at risk of falling if Dame does come to Miami. But, this is a top 10. Jimmy Butler's a top 10 per game guy. So this does still give you a pretty good chunk of wiggle room. Leon, deep in thought. Do we go Trae Young? Do we go Desmond Bane? So Bane finally comes off the board. Now we're officially caught up on X-Ranked again. It's almost like people feel, and that's the power of the X-Rank on Yahoo, is that you feel like if someone has fallen 5-6 slots too far, you kind of feel like you need to do something with them. I don't think you need to have that stick in India. There goes Jalen Brunson at 27. He was at 31, so he goes a bit early here. I don't know that there's a whole lot of room for him to improve over last year, but we shall see. Not my favorite. Trae Young still on the board, past his X rank. Interesting. He's someone that has been generally going a little bit beforehand. Here's Solomon again. You got LeBron, who's not a good foul shooter. You got Siakam, not a great foul shooter. There's LeBron, so you pick up some more assists. That team has a couple of holes, but field goal percent is not one of them. Vooch at 29. You guys know, love me some Vooch over the years. Here I am at 30. Who do I take to get off the board here? I don't want Trae Young. I mean, it doesn't really matter what I want. Who am I least interested in seeing where they go? Probably Trae Young. If he fell to me at 30, I would probably take him, by the way. I don't. Trae Young typically goes earlier than this. We just had one more team drop out. Seth, you scumbag. Get your butt back in this mock draft. We're about done with the third round here. Reminder again to click that thumbs up button and subscribe to our YouTube page. I'm trying to do 3 of these a week at varying times throughout the day. There's no set schedule here. And as Darius Garland and Pascal Siakam go off. Siakam, that's where he's been going. Garland, this is pretty early for him. I think his pre-rank was, 36? So somebody went down the board and got him a little bit, but not all that far. Or was he 40? Garland might have been 40. There goes Miles Turner, Drew Holiday. These are some auto picks. A couple of them, Adebayo, I think, and Miles were autoed. No, Miles and Drew were autoed. Towns falls all the way at 36. He's all over the map. Towns has been going in the late 20s in the other ones. Cade at 37 and DeJounte Murray at 38. Those guys were autos. Porzingis 39. I expect to see him slowly falling throughout this draft season. So this one's interesting. This draft continues to be interesting because guys like Towns, who we saw going earlier, and Trae Young, we saw going earlier, you're not seeing as much flexing in this mock. Now, is that what's hard to figure out right now? Is that because this is a group of humans who are more inclined to follow the X rank, or is it totally by chance? There goes De'Aaron Fox. Victor Wembanyama at 41. Walker Kessler auto-picked at 42. Chet Holmgren's still on the board, by the way. Who am I not interested in here? I'll take Jaylen Brown because I don't really care where he goes. If he's in the 40s, he's a reasonable play. Anunoby at 44, Jamal Murray 45. So people are jumping over some of the younger guys here. Holmgren now officially falling in this draft. So this is not people that are just following the X rank. You can see they're starting to lean into their own opinions a little bit more. Fantasy NBA Today, again, the name of the podcast, if you want to hang out with me, at Dan Bespris on social media. Right there on your screen. It's written small, I admit, on your page, but it is legible. There goes Chet, finally off the board to Joe. That Solomon character who, two before me, so he took Jamal Murray here. I mean, I know he's got to get his guard stuff going. Threes in particular are absurdly low. That team may want to just go into a punt threes build on top of punt free throw. What's Leon going to do? Leon's cooling. Joe has now signed out, so we've got one more auto. We're not going to go too far. I usually only go to like the top 50 or 60 on these things because you start to see people taking it less seriously. Brandon Ingram, that's too early for me at 47. I wanted to see if we could get in this mock to where people start to grab guys not on the board directly in front of them. 8 of the 12 teams still there. I think that's enough to continue looking this thing through. There goes Jordan Poole very early. Okay. See, now this is starting to get interesting. Dan and Leon. These are live humans here. Brandon Ingram, Jordan Poole at 47-48. Intriguing. Still no one has taken Mobley. He's the falling guy right now. And that's the thing is you start to see people reaching down the board to grab other guys. The dudes at the top are just going to move past their mark. There goes Tyler Hero at 49. Still no Evan. There goes Mobley. Now, this is an auto pick, so this probably going to be DeMar. Unless Joe here set a queue, but I rather doubt that. So DeMar will come off the board. He's going. This is where he's been going. There's, I think, a lot of fear around either erosion or a trade. But DeMar DeRozan, Nick Claxton, Zach LaVine, Brooke Lopez, Jared Allen. You've got a nice crop of boring squad guys. There goes DeMar. Bradley Beal going early. Brooke Lopez a little earlier than expected. I mean, am I more interested? Who do I want to see where they're going to go? Let's see if Claxton is falling in. I mean, he's already fallen a little bit here. We'll go Zach LaVine because it seems like his draft position is pretty well locked in. Claxton auto drafted. Now you get into the part of this roster in this mock draft where it's more heavily autoed. 3 of the last 6. Only 1 of the first 6 are auto. 3 of the last 6. So this part of the board is going to jump around a little bit. Anthony and then Parth, they're going to take whoever they like, but then you're going to see Ayton and Barnes off the board after them if they don't take those dudes. There goes Josh Giddey at 56. Oh, that's interesting. Chet Holmgren falling a little bit in this one. Wembanyama getting all the way down to his X rank. None of that early grab stuff. We haven't seen too much crazy. Let's see where Parth goes. He's got 10 seconds left on the clock, and then you're going to see 2 autos. But boy, Parth went Randall, then Ayton and Barnes come off the board. Now we'll see. I mean, how far does Jared Allen fall? I thought he was already pretty far down the board here, and he's farther. We still have a bunch of guys. It's pick 60. There goes Jared Allen, Tyrese Maxey, and then you got some autos. Jalen Williams, Cam Johnson off the board. So Maxey typically going in this range. If Harden gets moved, that dude stands to win the day. That may be one of those guys who has so much buzz, but maybe not even still quite enough. Tyrese Maxey's going to be a guy that needs to have all the buzz in the universe. I think we may have just, there may be an internet issue, so apologies if the quality of the video just suffered. I need a new computer. Paulo Banchero, Trey Murphy, Alperen Şengün at 66. I'll go Gobert here because it seems like his draft position is pretty well locked in. Let's see what most of these living beings are doing up near the front. Michael Porter at 68. Chris Paul, Derek White, these guys falling now. Capella, there goes Paul. Always right at number 70. Like clockwork. Although that was autoed. So maybe he would have gone farther. Do you know what kind of a drop-off it would take to move Chris Paul from his usual area of, like, what was he last year? 32 in what felt like a pretty awful season. You know how bad he'd have to be to fall from 30 to 70? That's a huge drop-off. Anyway, Zion at 71. That's a fun one, too. He's going anywhere from 50 to 80 this year. Yeah, I mean, I might almost consider it at 71. It's an upside play. It's a downside play, too. It's a big sides play. Zion can stay on his feet, man. That's the big one. Franz Wagner at 72. Not a big Franz guy for fantasy. I don't see the massive leap forward that we would need out of him to make him an actual value play. Dan's really thinking this one over. Jakob Poeltl. That's the earliest I've seen him go in any of these mocks. Good to know. Just something to file aside. He'd been pretty reliably going end of 70s, early 80s, near his X rank, really. But he finished the year so strong in Toronto, and there's kind of no reason to think that he's not going to be really good again this year. Are there tank risks down the stretch? I guess. Although if they move Siakam, then Poeltl's kind of the last center standing. Derek White off the board, then Vassell auto-drafted. It's always fun to see who hasn't been picked when you're past their slot numbers. So Jeremy Grant, Mitchell Robinson, Jalen Green are the 3 guys who've we sort of missed their slot. We're still not seeing much reaching. Like, nobody's going down the board 20, 30 slots for their guy. You'll see much more of that happen as you get into real drafts and as you get into mocks that are closer to the season. CJ McCollum, that's a little bit of a grab down the... Then Buddy Hield, he's someone that's also been on the rise. Grant and Robinson are still there. I'm going to take Ja because I don't give a crap where he goes. I ain't taking him. And then Grant obviously gets auto-picked. So these guys down at the bottom of the top 12 are going to screw up where some of these guys are actually getting picked. But, the fact that we have 4 auto-picks and Grant was slipping and Robinson is slipping, I think that should let you know that if everybody was healthy, that probably happens even more so. Like, you're not going to take those guys much earlier than they just got auto-picked here after the real people didn't. Draymond Green at 80. Still no Mitchell Robinson off the board. I get it. He's kind of a true trick pony. Mitch Rob, maybe 3 field goal, rebound, blocks. But if you passed up on blocks in the early rounds, Mitchell Robinson is a very reasonable target here and falling past 80 now. I think maybe we've finished. Maybe we'll do one more round just because it's probably going to zip back through this part of it. No, so Mitchell now, he gets auto-picked, as does Jalen Green, but both those guys slipped into the 80s. I have Miles Bridges went at 81, by the way. I have I have no intent of drafting Jalen Green, not after what we saw last year. And maybe he turns a corner, but there's like, what's the benefit there? Markelle Fultz, Anthony Simons, then, some auto picks. Time Lord and Marcus Smart auto picked. Marcus Smart fell way past his spot. I think he's going to be great for Memphis, by the way, but it's a different monster. Time Lord at 86. He'll be kind of a plodding sort. Now he's got Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford to deal with. That's just probably not a direction I go. Simons went at 85, by the way. Scoot! There goes Scoot at 88. Andrew Wiggins at 89. Terry Rozier auto picked at 90. Pretty reasonable spot. My turn. Who do I not care where they're going? Maybe I'll just go down the board and do something nuts. Like, I don't care where Ivica Zubac goes. Maybe someone's going to be like, oh my God, Dan loves Ivica Zubac. Ha! The old look away. All right, let's see what these humans do. John Collins at 92. We'll finish up this round, and then we'll head off into the sunset. Maybe we'll do the first half of round 9 before we get into these auto guys again. John Collins, his X rank is deeper than this. Now we're really starting to see guys get skipped over. Nobody seems to want Tyus Jones. Nobody wants D'Angelo Russell. Nobody wants Spencer Dinwiddie in this draft. Austin Reeves falling past his X rank is new, given all the hype around him. Chris Middleton, he's a guy everyone's been passing over, coming off a terrible year. So Tyus there, he gets auto-drafted, so he's finally off the board. Klay Thompson at 93, he's pretty consistently going in front of his X rank. But let's see. I mean, this is... Maybe I open the door. I grabbed Zubac from down the board. Let's see what everybody else... Wendell Carter Jr. at 95. He's so boring that I don't think he even makes the old man squad. Which is crazy because he's not old, but his fantasy game is all points and rebounds. Doesn't get defensive stats. Isn't that strange? Easy to forget. Wendell Carter Jr., not a defensive stats guy. All right, we'll go to my turn here. So the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks, and then we're out. Tobias Harris at 96. Folks starting to assume he'll get a little bit better. Assuming James Harden's departure. The Sixers are saying they're going to keep him now. Harden doesn't seem all that keen on that, though. Still, nobody's taking D'Lo, which I sort of get it. He'll have some stuff to do, though. Lakers don't want LeBron and Anthony Davis doing everything. D'Angelo Russell is going to get shots. Kuz, 97. That's a bet on usage outweighing all the messy stuff. Well, at the very latest, D'Lo is going to go at 99 because we got Auto Joe coming up after Leon here in this draft. But where does Leon go? At 98, Austin Reeves. And then D'Lo gets auto-drafted. 2 real people, then me, and then we're out of this joint. Interesting names here that made it to the 100 mark. Melton, in a Hardenless Philly. That's interesting. Gafford. Okongwu. I mean, Dinwiddie probably deserves to go. He was inside the top 100 down the stretch. There goes Spencer. The board is not that terrible. It's not that terrible. There's some stuff downstream that will probably shuttle upstream along the way here. When I say the board isn't terrible, I just mean like last year you had a bunch of guys in the 130 range that were sort of inaccurately marked. There's a few of those dudes. Anyway, it's my turn here. I'm just gonna auto. No, we'll take somebody like Russell Westbrook, who I would never take in a real draft. I'm just going to throw Westbrook up on the board here so that he can get picked and I can keep talking about stuff. I don't actually care what happens at this point. Now you're into these auto picks, which once you get to this range, when you know everybody would just be doing whatever, having auto picks totally screws up your ability to plan. So I'm not paying attention to this anymore. That was basically as far as we wanted to go. What did we learn from this particular recon mock? Well, I think I would argue that every once in a while you get into a recon mock where people follow the board a little bit tighter, and you saw more of that in this one than you did in the previous ones. Does that mean that more public people are getting in on these mocks? Because, we saw people going by their own boards in the other recon mocks we did, the last 5 of them. This one, the 6th, You finally saw X rank really take over. You really did. But it's not always going to be like that. So we'll do another one in a couple of days. We'll see if this was fluky or if this is things are transitioning more in that direction. And that's why we're going to keep doing these basically, every other weekday or so, just trying to get a feel for how the board is developing. What are people doing? What are the trends? And then obviously, the longer people stay in the draft, the longer we'll do it before rolling off into the sunset. So again, thanks everybody. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow me on Twitter at Dan Besbris, and I'll see you guys over on Fantasy NBA Today, my daily pod. And Cliff, who says, thanks for doing these. You're welcome, dude. They're fun. They're quick. They're painless. And a bunch of people, or a few people, tuned in to watch right as we're about to go off air. Yep, I just got turned on to autodraft. Whoopsies. All right, later, everybody. Oh, no joke today. I didn't tell a joke today. Do I have a quick one that I can slip here at the end of the show? Nah, I don't know. I got all these dumb golf jokes from when I played golf, but they're not all that helpful right now. Most of the jokes that come to the pop right into my head are like really dirty jokes, and I probably should not tell that. We're going to get our YouTube page suspended. I'll think about it. I'll think about the next one. All right, later for now, everybody.